Hello.
Hello. And we're back again for another crafty chat with
Ali Clifford from Kids Chaos.
and Maggie Woodley from Red Ted Art. Look, got something in my way already. Anyway, today we're going to talk about, this is a clue, bird feeders. So the weather's getting colder here in the UK. It might be where you are, or you might be reading this in the summer and you're preparing for the winter.
My nose is really red because it's so cold in here today.
Actually, so we've decided that it's now time to think about our little feathered friends. Obviously, there's still plenty of food around at the moment, but it's going to get harder for them as the winter comes on and progresses, especially if it ever snows here in the UK.
And the ice, the poor little things.
Yes, so we've got a couple of sort of crafty ones, simple ones, and some tips. I mean, generally, it's really good to go and buy some bird feed from the shop, because they do like that, don't they?
Especially in a lovely kiln jar, so
Yes.
it's nice on the shelf.
And it is important that you buy the stuff that birds actually need, and that's right for them. So I was reading some articles earlier today actually about peanuts. So for example, they love peanuts, high in fat, really good for them. But for example, they often come in these little plastic meshes. Now if you hang that into your garden, you can actually break a bird's wing or little foot. So you do need the right sort of dispensers for things like peanuts. And there's these mesh ones, steel mesh ones, which are just right for them to pick out the right peanut size.
That's what we've got.
Exactly. And if you don't have that, if a nut that's too big can also hurt them. So, which I didn't really know. I just thought, nuts are nuts. So it is important that you've got the right sort of equipment.
Yeah, and you can always mix up the seeds yourself, can't you?
So the black sunflower seeds. I mean, we've got a few things here that you can do at home really easily, but don't take it as a given. We do need to look after our birds and not just feed them any old whatever. Okay. Cereals are really good for them. They like porridge oats, for example.
Dried.
Uncooked. Yeah, cooked means they can't digest it. It makes it much harder for them. So one of our favourite ones for the kids, as you might know, lots of people know about these, are the old Cheerios or Bear Nibbles.
Yes, the alphabets.
What they're called, ornaments, bird feeder ornaments, and you can create sort of all sorts of little shapes. This is supposed to be a little Christmas tree or curly-whirly, and some little hearts. And to be honest, it's really easy. I made these with my little 5-year-old in like about 10 minutes. My only tip is, I used some garden wire. My tip is to shape it into the shape you want before you start threading.
Fair enough.
Because once they're on, they
break.
They break, exactly. So have the rough shape ready before you start. Then obviously it's a bit of a fiddle just to seal it, but it's really straightforward.
It's such a sweet little thing. I'll just show you this. How nice would that be in a really nice box for a Christmas gift for an older parent or grandparent? My mother and mother-in-law both enjoy watching the birds.
Oh, so that's really sweet. Yeah. And then you can put a little bird book in with it and a bit of bird watching.
Absolutely.
Very sweet. So we love the Cheerio ones, really easy to do. My daughter loved it, and also, you know what, I never buy Cheerios, so when we make these, my kids are in heaven because they get to eat Cheerios. Yes. The next one that you can sort of see peeking along here is a juice carton converted into an owl. Now, some people have pointed out maybe the big owl eyes might scare them off. Not sure. They've been nibbling at my birdhouse, but something to think about. And it was really easy. I just painted it with some enamel paint because it's a little bit waterproof. Cut in some flaps. Here you go for the wings. Little hole. Put a little perch in, which is just a craft stick. And then hot glue gunned some eyes and a beak.
It's amazing what you can do with those cartons.
Yeah, it's so funny, isn't it?
It's
really
a nice
sweet.
upcycle.
Yeah, and Ali actually has got a nice bird house made out of a juice carton, but that's another story.
It is.
So what have you got there, Ali?
Well, I've got some oranges. So just basically, you take an orange like this, you cut it, you scoop it out.
Yummy, so you still get to eat
Stick it in your smoothie or whatever. And then you can fill that full of peanut butter and seeds, and then hang that outside as well. And they love to peck away at that.
And I mean, if you don't want to use peanut butter, you can use lard. I know you think that's really disgusting, but you can buy blocks of lard in the shop, and birds love lard, and it's just right for them in terms of fat and no salt, and being quite healthy. Okay. Don't use the cooking fat though.
Shame. That's what we used to use when I was a kid.
The problem with cooking fat is that often you get meat juices mixing in with it, which isn't quite right, and also you don't always know the salt content, and it might be too salty. So that's the other thing. Another one we like doing, a little bit on the messier side, but the kids again like it. You might know that we love crafting with pine cones.
Yes.
Yeah? So if you've got a slightly wonky one or a damaged one, or even a pretty one that isn't damaged, great craft for it is to create these little bird seed holders. Really simple to do. They actually look quite sweet when you've got a few dotted around in the garden. And all you have to do is, you've got your pine cone, you have your plate of seeds that we've shown a few times, and some peanut butter. Yummy. Then firstly we just tie on a little string, spread on the peanut butter with some knives, great for the kids to practice sort of knife handling skills. And then you just give it a good old roll and sort of make it really compact, stick it on, and then done.
Very
in the
nice.
garden.
And
Really
I have
good.
done the same with a toilet roll.
Yeah, so
And
that's
yeah.
works really well, doesn't it? Because you can just roll it nicely
Absolutely.
up and down, can't you?
Yeah,
Do the kids like doing that?
They loved it, and no, I guess the birds ate all the seeds, so
Yes.
they must have liked it too.
I guess when you're doing things like the Cheerios or the toilet roll feeder, I kind of put them in a sheltered place to avoid them getting really soggy if it starts raining, but hopefully the birds will have eaten it anyway. So one last thing before we go. You mentioned rice earlier on.
Well, when we've cooked too much rice, which we always seem to do, we never measure, and we've got cooked rice left over, we sprinkle that outside as well, but not
really
too
good.
much.
But it's also, you've got to be careful.
Well, especially in London, where we live, you get a lot of rats and mice, so don't put out too much, just put enough so that the birds will take it in one go.
And I guess it's also, you don't want them to have old food, so if you're going to throw rice out and it's so much they can't finish it, they don't really want to eat it 3 days later, do they? And the other thing is when you do sprinkle things outside, which is actually a really great idea. People often forget, they always talk about bird feeders, but there's different breeds of birds like to eat from the ground, so actually it depends which animal you're feeding.
You know so much.
I know. The RSPB website is amazing. Anyway, the thing to remember though is, so do sprinkle the things on the floor, like little apple pieces or chopped up raisins, but keep away from bushes.
Why is that?
I've got lurking cats.
Oh yeah, and we have those thanks to our neighbours.
Exactly. Anyway, so this is it. There's no more demonstration like we normally do today, just because there's lots of little things that you could just see, and to be honest, I hope that should be plenty of it. I mean, the orange is such an easy one, and it looks really lovely when you've got a whole set of orange in the garden. Yeah. Like, especially on a snowy day or grey day, and it just looks pretty.
To do it and to do some photographs.
Exactly. So hopefully you'll be looking after your little birds today. Go online, buy some bird seeds now, and look after our feathered friends this winter. Yes. And subscribe to Redhead Art, please.
There is that too.
Always. Anyway, nice to see you all again. Bye-bye.
Bye.